Hello, good evening. It's 10 p.m. in Accra, 11 p.m. in Lagos, and midnight in Copenhagen. Wherever you're watching us from, this is news at 10 on TV3 and on 3FM 92.7. Let's start with today's news highlights. The Controller and Accountant General's Department has suspended the August salaries of some 7,000 workers on government's mechanized payroll. The objective is to clean the payroll data and improve the efficiency of government's payroll management. And President Akufo-Addo has officially launched the free senior high school policy, which becomes operational from Friday, September 1. A logo for the program has also been unveiled. And two teacher unions have threatened to hit the streets if those found culpable in the $72 million SNID deal are not prosecuted. The Ghana National Association of Teachers and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers also called for speedy investigations. And TV3's anchor Martin Asiedu-Dartey has been awarded a Chevening Scholarship to study a Master of Arts in International and Online Journalism in the United Kingdom. He now has the opportunity to study at the Salford University in Manchester for his master's degree. And the Accra Regional Police Command has arrested a 40-year-old carpenter who was recruiting people at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle for alleged armed robbery operations. Also in the grips of the police is a 42-year-old person arrested for stealing and wearing a police uniform to deceive the public. Those are our major news highlights. Remember, you can hear us live on 3FM 92.7 and we're streaming on our Facebook page. Up next is the big one. Welcome. Now, the Controller and Accountant General's Department has suspended the August salaries of some 7,000 workers on government's mechanized payroll. The objective is to clean the payroll data and improve the efficiency of government's payroll management.
The suspension is in line with Regulation 297 of the Financial Administration Regulation 2004 LI 1802. Employees who had their salaries suspended failed to do the monthly validation of their salaries, which is a mandatory requirement for payment of salaries of employees on government payroll. Employees whose salaries have been suspended include validators who failed to validate their payrolls through the electronic salary payment voucher ESPV system in August, as well as employees whose salaries were not validated. Others include employees who were not verified during ESVP validation process in August, as well as those with zero or irregular bank account details and others with wrong or without SNID numbers, no bank details and same account numbers for different employees. Those whose salaries were suspended due to non-validation of salaries will be paid at the end of September 2017 on the condition that their heads of department validate them on the ESPV platform for September 2017. Employees declared unknown but not missing at their various places of work are required to submit reactivation letters signed by the heads of department to the Controller and Accountant General's Department Payroll Processing Division. Employees with zero or irregular bank account details and others with wrong or without SNID numbers and employees sharing the same account numbers have been asked to submit their required information to the Payroll Processing Directorate of the Controller and Accountant General's Department for processing. Employees yet to go through the biometric registration exercise are expected to contact the Biometric Registration Center at the Ministry of Finance with the necessary documents for registration.
Meanwhile, the Director of Payroll at the Controller and Accountant General's Department, Elizabeth Osei, has justified the suspension of the 7,000 salaries of workers. She spoke in an exclusive interview with Daniel Opoku.
1,000 names that you have suspended. Where is the largest group coming from?
The largest numbers are coming from Ghana Education Service.
Meaning what?
Meaning that a lot of employees in the Ghana Education Service who were not validated have not been paid for the month of August.
Prior to that, were you able to engage the leadership of the Ghana Education Service before their names were suspended? Because most of the concerns that they raise, that most of them are in the deprived areas where getting access to network is a problem for them to embark on this validation or registration exercise.
Yes, as you rightly said, we engaged chief directors and heads of MDAs in all the civil service and in fact the public sector whose salaries are paid on the Controller and Accountant General's department have been sensitized already on this, how do I call it, the directive. We've also spoken to the various public sector unions to, as it were, bring them, create the awareness that their employees stand not to be paid. In fact, this directive was going to be implemented in July, but because we engaged with the various unions and the managements of the various institutions, they asked that we give them a little more time so that they could bring this to the notice of all their validators or their heads of departments, and we agreed to that. So everybody agreed that we would roll this particular directive out in August 2017, and we've done just that.
Wouldn't have Controller found a more appropriate way in terms of giving them punishment rather than suspending their salaries?
See, it's not only about punishing, it's about the credibility of the payroll we are running at the Controller and Accountant General's department. It's a centralized system, and this is an intervention to make sure that we pay only deserving employees. So the ESPV system that has been ruled out is meant to ensure that every head of department is aware of who Controller and Accountant General is paying on their behalf. So that is why we are doing this. It's not to punish anybody, but it's to ensure that we ensure that everybody who is paid ought to be paid. And so if they are not validated, it's difficult for the Controller and Accountant General to establish if they exist and whether their salaries are legitimate. So it's not about punishing, but it's about ensuring that there's no leakage in the government purse. We are protecting the government purse.
Now, linking that to gift mix, are we saying Controller is getting a headway?
In fact, gift mix is making a lot of headway, not only in the payment of salaries, but also the financial management generally, as in disbursements at the MDA level. So it's not only about the Controller and Accountant General's salary payments, but generally about disbursements out of the GOG or out of the consolidated fund. It's becoming more and more credible.
Are you reaching a final stage in terms of gift mix, rolling out the gift mix?
Not final. Gift mix is still midway, I must say, but it's been rolled out to most MDAs. I'm not the best authority to speak on this, but then gift mix has been rolled out to most MDAs, and even to the extent that we've started deploying to MMDAs in the districts.
And still on teachers' salaries, Ministry of Finance has directed the teachers' validation team to clear the names of more than 65,000 teachers for payment within the next 3 months. The ministry again charged the team to present names of those who will be so far validated every 2 weeks for prompt payment of their salary arrears.
The work of the validation team began in February 2016, but has still not been completed. As of December 2016, 117,232 documents of teachers for their salary arrears were presented to the team. The team worked on 63,614, leaving an outstanding figure of 53,618 to be worked on for payment. 42,343 have also been validated, but a few of them have received their salary arrears. Head of Conditions of Service at NAT, Ahina Kwakwashi, said the teachers are satisfied with the progress of work.
Ghana Education Service informed us that they had received additional forms of 35,862 fresh forms. Now they ran duplicates and got to know that the only genuine forms out of that 35,000 was 3,613.
He pleaded with its members nationwide to exercise restraint to get all process completed within 3 months.
What we are telling our members is that indeed we appreciate their patience. We will still ask them to remain calm and wait for the commencement of the exercise on the 11th. And we believe that once we finish with this exercise, it will also enable us to press on government to put a stop to this kind of policy or directive.
Leadership of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, CCT Ghana, also employed newly recruited teachers for 2015 to present their documents for prompt response.
Now, 2015 recruited teachers should make sure by 30th of September they've presented all their documents. Now, every 2 weeks, vouchers will be raised. After the validation, every 2 weeks, vouchers will be raised, and Controller and Accountant General will be instructed to pay. So hopefully, from October ending, we are hoping to start paying the rest of the arrears to the about 70,000 teachers.
It again gave an assurance to facilitate the correction of documents which have a duplication of staff ID numbers.
There are some too with management issues, which is about 21,000 of them. Now, when we say management issues, some of them, maybe they have the same staff ID. 2 people have the same staff ID. Some of them, their appointments were backdated. Maybe they started teaching in September 2010, but it was backdated to, let's say, January 2010.
This is still news at 10. We're live on TV3 and 3FM 92.7, also streaming live on our Facebook page. We'll be right back. Welcome now. President Akufo-Addo has officially launched the free senior high school policy, which becomes operational Friday, September 1. A logo for the program has also been unveiled.
The free SHS policy of the NPP administration is aimed at building an educated populace for speedy national development and progress. President Akufo-Addo, at the short ceremony at the Flagstaff House, unveiled the logo for the program, which officially commences in 2 weeks. Minister of State in charge of tertiary education at the presidency, Professor Kwesi Yanka, explained the meaning of the logo.
The package comes with it qualitative instructional material, improvement in school infrastructure, as well as teacher motivation and capacity building for them. The open book stands for learning that is made accessible so others can share. Free education is the foundation for national development. It generates hope for future generations and enables students from diverse backgrounds to study towards transforming lives and uplifting their communities.
President Akufo-Addo called for support for the program.
There will be in any new initiative some wrinkles, some glitches. But if we understand that this is important, not because a political party has made it its mantra, and that the promise that it made is being fulfilled, but because it goes to the heart of what we need to do to get our country going. Our country is abundant with talents, with creativity, with people who have all kinds of contribution to make to the development of our society. What we need to do is to provide them the opportunity to express themselves. And if that opportunity is provided, I think very, very, very rapidly we'll see the transformation that all of us want to see in Ghana.
And 2 teacher unions have threatened to hit the streets if those found culpable in the $72 million SNID deal are not prosecuted. The Ghana National Association of Teachers and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers also called for speedy investigations.
The Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, expressed disappointment at SNID deal. Although NAT agreed on the need to automate its operations, it expressed concern on the cost of the project. Most disturbing to NAT is the inadequate lump sum paid to pensioners by SNITs after 30 years of public service. Ahina Kwakwashi is the head of conditions of service at NAT.
Do you know how much they are paying this woman? The 25% lump sum pass credit. It's 2,004 cedis, 47 pesos.
For 30 years.
For 30 years work. How can you be callous like this? Do you want the woman to go and die? Somebody who had taught for 30 years and is suffering from the eye because of chalk, what is it? And then you give the woman 2,004 cedis. As lump sum, 25 lump sum.
He charged the board of SNIT to be swift with its investigations or risk a nationwide protest.
I mean, why do you use people's money like this? If it is genuine, I don't have a problem. But if they go through the audit and they realize that they have done the untoward, look, they should jail them. They should put them before the law courts. First of all, you should claim our monies first. You should claim our money first before they jail them.
Vice President of the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, Enoka Brakwe Sante, is of the view investments made by SNIT have not benefited contributors.
As a unionist, I should see that my members contribute and they get something out of it. And that is the reason why we find ourselves wanting. We cry out because I contribute for 20 years, 30 years. The investment that you are making should have influence on my money.
He charged the board of SNIT to ensure that the lump sum of contributors are properly calculated to enhance their benefits.
So nice for us to see transparency in our system. If we do not see that, people will continue misusing, looting, etc. our funds. So if such have been seen, then there's the need, not two ways about it. Let them face the law squarely.
And the fourth review of Ghana's extended credit facility with the IMF has concluded with an extension by 1 more year. The review also saw the approval of $94.2 million disbursement.
The 3-year facility signed by the John Mahama administration in 2015 is expected to end in April 2018. A statement from the fund said the board approved Ghana's quest for waivers on non-observance of performance criteria and modification of one performance criterion and the extension of the arrangements by 1 year. It said as risks remain tilted to the downside, careful fiscal management will be required to achieve the 2017 program targets and reverse the unfavorable debt dynamics. It said additional efforts are needed to address revenue shortfalls, while expenditure control measures should be fully enforced to contain current spending and prevent the recurrence of domestic arrears. Professor Newman Kusi of the Institute of Fiscal Study is of the view that whether there is an extension or not, government's relationship with the IMF has to continue.
Some of our development partners always look at the relationship that the country has with the IMF and the other multilateral institutions such as the African Development Bank and the World Bank to determine the disbursement of the financial support. So with or without a program, the interaction between the government or the country and the IMF will have to continue anyway.
Head of Finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Brockpain, said the extension is a logical outcome of where the country finds itself and is the right thing to do.
So all the targets in 2016 were missed, and we deteriorated in some indicators. So then the question was, the remaining 1 year, would it be sufficient for Ghana to correct whatever makes its weaknesses that have been created? The conclusion is simple. It's insufficient. So if Ghana wants to still go by the IMF program, then the logical thing to do and to ask for its extension.
The Extended Credit Facility Program aims to restore debt sustainability and macroeconomic stability in the country to foster a return to high growth and job creation while protecting social spending. Completion of the fourth ECF review, which enables the disbursement of about $94.2 million, brings total disbursements under the arrangement to about $565.2 million, with the remainder being tied to the remaining reviews.
Spare parts dealers at Abosoka in Accra have urged implementers of the paperless transaction to ensure a seamless process from September 1 when it takes off. The dealers pointed out that innovation would be needless if it does not remove delays and corruption, which increases the cost of doing business at the ports.
Spare parts dealers have often complained about delays, corruption and cumbersome procedures of clearing goods at the port. However, the implementation of the paperless transaction, many of these are expected to be phased out.
Because the system has not taken off, we wouldn't know, the challenges that they'll be facing. But when it takes off from 1st September, and as we are all aware, 1st September is also a holiday, so I think the whole operation or the whole process will start on Monday, which is the 4th. And when the process starts, the implementation starts, and then our people go there or our members go there and they face any challenges, I'm sure they will report back to us.
The agent call you and tell you that maybe your bill is almost maybe 100 or 1,000. You don't know what the agent is doing, so you just go and pay in because you don't understand what is going on.
Officials of the Ghana Shippers Authority, whose mandate it is to seek the interests of shippers and negotiate charges on their behalf, took the education to the doorsteps of the importers.
They have issues like how the networking, but we believe that yes, even though there will be downtimes, still the process will be better than before.
The spare parts dealers further complained about the slow pace of effort to remove some taxes promised by the government.
And TV3's Uncle Martin Asiedu-Dartey has been awarded a Chevening Scholarship to study a Master of Arts in International and Online Journalism in the United Kingdom. He now has the opportunity to study at the Salford University in Manchester for his master's degree.
Chevening scholarships are the United Kingdom government global scholarship program funded by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office and partner organizations. The program offers awards to outstanding scholars with leadership potential from around the world to study for a master's degree in any subject of their choice in a university in the United Kingdom. The scheme is aimed at developing global leaders to harness their potential. 20 scholars, including TV3's news anchor Martin Asiedu-Dartey, were awarded the scholarship this year.
They should stick and stay with TV3. What we would do also is to ensure that they do not miss us too much, because we'll be giving information as and when it is relevant. But because we aim at giving them the very best in terms of content and presentation and delivery, we'll be coming back more polished, more poised, and more reinvigorated to give quality content to them.
The British High Commissioner to Ghana, Ian Walker, underscored the need for persons with leadership potential to be supported.
And really to kind of try and build some of the leaders for the future, because actually our relationship is deep, it's long, but it's also for the future. So it's not just the last 60 years, it's the next 60 years. And working with people like today is really all about saying, we've got brilliant people here today and these guys are going to be leaders of the future.
We wish Martin and the other scholars the very best of studies in the UK. And the Accra Regional Police Command has arrested a 40-year-old carpenter who was recruiting people at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle for alleged armed robbery operations. Also in the grips of the police is a 47-year-old person arrested for stealing and wearing a police uniform to deceive the public.
The suspects were arrested in the early hours of Thursday, August 31, at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra. The first suspect, 40-year-old Benjamin Danso, a carpenter, was alleged to have been engaged in recruiting people for an intended armed robbery operation. A search on him uncovered 1 foreign pistol and 1 live ammunition. Benjamin reportedly admitted to the offense in his caution statement to the police and has mentioned 2 others as his accomplices. The second suspect, William Dartey, was in police uniform loitering at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle and was arrested. William told the police he is not a policeman, adding he stole the uniform from the Tesano Police Barracks. William Dartey later took the police to the Tesano Police Barracks but was unable to identify the owner of the uniform, since according to him, he took them from the drying line.
So we'll use your network to caution other policemen to take good care of their uniform so that it will not get into the hands of criminals for them to use it for criminal activities.
The 2 are to be put before court charged with unlawful possession of firearm, soliciting for criminal act and stealing.
All right, interesting. The mindsets of criminals. That's how we end News at 10. I'm Asiedu-Dartey. Thank you very much for making time. On behalf of the crew here, good night. There is more news at 3news.com.